Yeah, Honorable Minister, Governor Rambaran, dear members and partners and friends, well, this is unfortunately the end of the forum. And as every year, it seems that there's a sad moment because we had such a great time together. The forum, I think, has been another leap, I would say. That's how it feels because I think we have achieved major milestones. And normally I go through this, and then at the end I would thank different people in the room. I would just like to change this order a little bit and start with one piece of thanks, and then later maybe we have some more. I think the first thanks should really go to the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. Governor Jawaharlal Rambaran and his amazing team. In this team, the officer with an agenda, the biggest under the sun, isn't it? So, Nicole Crooks, I think it was great what you did for us. And I think last year, I should say that when we were in Malaysia, I had a moment where I felt, well, this is phenomenal. And we had all these other forums, and Malaysia felt again different. And I didn't know what else would come. But now it feels again so different. And you know, this is due to something that you achieved. You made it very special. You gave this forum, I found, a very individual note. In terms of the way you presented your country to us, I think that really touched us. And it made us understood. And even those ones among us who were ignorant about Trinidad and Tobago because we didn't know, learned a lot in a very short period in time. And I must say, it's not a good feeling to go away right now. That's at least how I feel. And I'm sure many of us would share this feeling. The way you presented your progress and your challenges, the way you brought the country closer to us, that was outstanding, and I think gives me also another image, which is you showed your country in a way that it almost reflects the whole AFI community. The diversity you have, that we saw, for example, last night, this is AFI in a nutshell, if I can say. It looks like and it feels like. So now I know why you wanted to bring the forum to Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much for everything you've been doing for us. Now, before I go into the results, there is a small point I have to make, and this is to all members. We had a very fruitful discussions on governance and on membership fee schemes, and you remember that there were some issues we were discussing. I just wanted to inform everyone that the steering committee met after the meeting on the first day, the AGM, and we reviewed the scheme. We modified it, and I think it will be shared very soon with all members, so please watch out for the modifications so that we then can get your feedback. Now, quickly, results I would like to mention that come to mind, some of the takeaways. We have seen this theme about the partnerships, the national goals, empowerment of people, and I think we have delivered towards all of those. We have launched today the public-private dialogue / engagement platform, isn't it? We have also seen the taking off of the SSB peer learning program that materializes in the friction paper we are going to present to the Basel committee very soon. We have seen wonderful Maya updates and new commitments, which I think will strengthen the network. My colleagues may correct me, but I think we are now at 53 commitments. If I have counted correctly, I couldn't check, but Bea is nodding, yes. So we are at 53 commitments, so thank you very much for this. And then I think we also have learned a lot about financial literacy. We had the first day where we had some questions around evidence and all that, but I think the sessions brought out a very important lesson, and that is that financial literacy is not a standalone. It has to be accompanied by regulation and a good understanding of consumer protection. I think this was an important message, and I think you are kind of a living example here in TNT how that can work. So I think we learned a lot, and I think you also helped us to answer some of our questions. Now, one thing that came out on the first day, I think, was worth mentioning is also when we asked very knowledgeable people on the panel, so what do you see in 15 years from now? I think one thing that I kept in mind is we're looking not only for financial inclusion, we may want to look for social inclusion. I think that is a very important point that was made. Now, it was a very rich forum, and as I said, another leap in AFI's history. We have heard that we have a new location, which is really great. We have talked about governance. We have launched so many initiatives. I think Trinidad and Tobago Forum will be a milestone in AFI's history, and I'm actually wondering what comes next. And we will hear what comes next, at least in terms of the country where we are going to next year. But I'm trying to keep this for a moment. Now, on the people who I want to thank, I mean, as usual, we want to thank everyone in the room who made that happen, and of course, our members, all our members who have contributed so actively. Again, thanks to the outgoing chair, Central Bank of the Philippines. You have steered us through a very interesting time of the AFI life cycle. And I think you hand over at a time when AFI is ready for the next leap. So thank you very much, Central Bank of the Philippines, for all what you have been doing and the time you spent. I think I also want to thank all our partners, not external partners, but partners who are in the room. The manifestation of this afternoon's discussion, which is the PPD platform, I think is a great step into the right direction. We are looking forward to making this happen, but thank you for your openness and your participation. But partners, of course, include all other partners from research, donors, development partners, and so forth. I also want to thank the AFI team, who has worked very hard. And just allow me for a moment, this team is really working very hard at a time when everyone is asking everyone before going to TNT, actually, do you know where we are moving? Because we didn't know. We are in the situation, we just learned a couple of weeks ago where we are moving. But this team works as if there's nothing happening, just knowing that in 2 or 3 weeks you would know that you would move eventually to Malaysia. And now we know we moved to Malaysia. I just wanted to appreciate how the team has dealt with this period of insecurity and kept the good spirit, and even made a forum happen together with the organizing team of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, that I think is another milestone in our history. So thanks very much for the team for doing that, but at the same time, thanks again for the Trinidad and Tobago team to work together with us in this way and to make it so nice. I could go on with the thanks, but normally I forget someone. So in order not to forget anyone, I would just say everyone who I haven't mentioned, I really thank you very much. Thank everyone in the room very much, and everyone who has made a contribution. I hope to see you not only next year at the next GPF, but also earlier when we meet, when we interact together and we work together on this wonderful agenda that is ours. So thank you very much, and see you next year. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Executive Director AFI, Alfred Hanig. Thank you, Mr. Hanig. Next, I'd like to welcome on stage the incoming chair of the AFI Steering Committee. Please welcome Daniel Shedlowski, Superintendent, SBS, Peru.
Now, at this point, I'm quite sure that you're expecting a joke or you're expecting something spectacular or so. I'm not sure that at this point I can satisfy that demand. I think I'm a bit awed by the responsibility. The Philippines has set such a high standard that Peru is now supposed to follow that it's probably not a joking matter. It's very serious. Got to do it right. Got to do it right. Got to do it right. Ooh. But there is a saving grace. You've seen the team. You've seen the Peruvian team. You've all seen how wonderful they are. You've seen how elegant they are. We need to be careful here on exactly how I say this, so that you know that there's good backup. It's really not the superintendent that does it, it's a team that does it. What I want to tell you is I pledge that we're all going to work hard. We're going to try to be up to the standard that the Philippines and previous chairs set. And we're going to do, be up also to the challenge of working with the AFI team. I must tell you that what's happened here in terms of organization is absolutely extraordinary. The way things have functioned on time, the way everybody knew what their role was, they knew how the briefing papers were put up, how there was follow-up. We were really not allowed to forget where we were supposed to be when. This is not easy. It takes a fine art, and besides, it was done with such grace, such a fine hand. Really, I'm very impressed, and I think we should, clap one more time for the staff of AFI that's done this. And now it's time for me to leave the stage and get to work, right? So there you are. Thank you very much.
Our incoming chair of the AFI Steering Committee. Let's hear it once again for Mr. Szydlowski. Next, we welcome on stage the Honourable Mr. Vasant Bharat, Ministry of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications.
Thank you, Chairperson, for this evening's closing ceremony. Mr. Jwala Rambaran, Governor and Chairman of the Board of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Daniel Szydlowski, Superintendent, SBS Peru and incoming Chair of the AFI Steering Committee, Mr. Alfred Hanig, Executive Director, Alliance for Financial Inclusion, AFI members and conference delegates, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to all of you, and thank you very much for this honor of joining you here this evening and sharing a few of my own thoughts on the tremendous importance of this forum. First of all, let me also apologize for the Prime Minister's absence here this evening. She's unavoidably detained, but asks that I extend her best wishes to all of you. The Government of Trinidad and Tobago welcomed the opportunity to host this 6th annual Global Policy Forum. I understand that this is the first time that this forum has been hosted in this part of the world, and I welcome you to warm and sunny Trinidad and Tobago, the Twin Island paradise that we call it. Those of you who would have attended last night's cultural evening would certainly have been treated to an extravaganza of extraordinary proportions of our culture and of our food. This forum also comes at a time when our own central bank is celebrating its 50th anniversary, a good time to reflect on the history that created us and the philosophy that will shape our destiny in the years to come. With your forum theme being Global Partnerships, National Goals Empowering People, you will no doubt understand our keen interest in working together for common objectives in empowering people. In fact, your theme is very similar to that of the 2015 National Budget of Trinidad and Tobago, which was delivered only on Monday the 8th. The theme of that being empowering our people through sustained economic growth and prosperity. Some of the fiscal measures in that policy document sought to build on the strong leadership position that Trinidad and Tobago has achieved in the region's financial services sector. That leadership is underscored when we note that the services sector's contribution to GDP rose from approximately $12.3 billion in 2011 to an estimated $13.1 billion in 2012. In fact, today, the financial services sector accounts for some 15% of our gross domestic product and employs well over 50,000 people directly. The financial services sector has been identified by the government of Trinidad and Tobago as one of the key areas for diversification, the others being ICT, tourism, the creative industry sector, which includes film, fashion, and music, agro-processing, the maritime sector, and downstream energy services. Many of you will know that Trinidad and Tobago for many years has been dependent on a single commodity, oil and recently gas, for its main forms of revenue. In fact, 80% of our export revenues is derived from energy, from oil and gas, and close to about 50% of our total revenues from oil and gas. And therefore, we have been at the mercy over many years to commodity prices on international markets. When the price of oil and gas is high, our revenue streams are high, and consequently, when commodity prices are low, our revenue streams are low. And so for many years, we've gone through what economists know as boom and bust economics, and other economists also call the Dutch disease. So in building this sustainable path to growth, the government moved to modernize and transform the investment and business environment and its climate, therefore making it easier and more profitable to do business in Trinidad and Tobago. Indeed, when this government came to office in 2010, Trinidad and Tobago ranked at number 97 on the ease of doing business indicator, in the ease of doing business ranking, according to the World Bank. Today, we rank at number 66, having risen 33 places in the last 4 years. And based on the work that we've been doing in the last 12 months, we expect to be closer to 50 when the 2014 rankings are disclosed later this month. Trade facilitation and focused investment have delivered substantial returns to the extent that a successfully launched financial institutions shared support services subsector is now consolidating to attract the middle and back office operations and functions of financial institutions. Indeed, in the last 18 months, we've attracted 1,000 new jobs into that area through the fact that Scotiabank and RBC now have substantial back office and middle office functions here in Trinidad and Tobago. Indeed, we are courting and wooing several Indian firms who currently have business process outsourcing arrangements in other parts of the world to come to Trinidad and Tobago. One of the advantages, of course, is our cheap energy, but also the fact that we are on a similar time to many of their existing customers in North America makes us an ideal location for these particular projects. And through the Trinidad and Tobago International Financial Center, the TTIFC, we've accelerated specific training programs in this particular sector. So in other words, we are integrating to make sure that we provide the training at the university level to ensure that we have a constant stream of graduates coming out of university who can fill the jobs that we're actually creating on the other side. And we've already been able to put in place 2 major programs, the first being finance and accounting business process outsourcing training programs, and a training program on international capital markets. I raise these points to underscore the very important role and functions of all central banks, especially for financial inclusion and empowering consumers, consumer protection, financial literacy, and data analysis. And you may be interested to know that the Ministry of Consumer Affairs also falls under the portfolio of my ministry, the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications. Financial inclusion, in particular, is one of your global objectives, and you can be confident that the Government of Trinidad and Tobago considers this to be a vital feature of progress. Indeed, A nation can only be as strong as its people's capacity and capability to adapt and excel as partners to sustainable development. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have pursued the development agenda and the diversification agenda with a deep focus on all levels of training and education. Many of you may know that all education in Trinidad and Tobago, from primary to tertiary, is free, absolutely free. As we've pursued a transformative policy agenda aimed at creating prosperity for all, key investments have been made to ensure that as new economic sectors emerge, our citizens are empowered with the skills and intellectual agility to drive progress. What that means is that we not only have recognized the importance of inclusion, but we've also sought to weave it into government policy. So as I express the hope that this forum has indeed achieved its objectives for this year, I also trust that you have been able to find strong partners in your mission of inclusion and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our Prime Minister, the government, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago, it has indeed been our pleasure to host you, and we look forward to working again with you in the future. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister Vasan Barath, Mr. Hanig, and Mr. Shidlowski. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to hand over the baton to the next host country for GPF 2015. And this involves the traditional ringing of the gong, which you see perched on our stage. It was done previously for the opening or the official opening of the forum. This gong, for those of you who don't know, has traveled a very long way, starting from Bali, Indonesia, to Mexico, South Africa, Malaysia last year, and now here in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we've come to the time we've all been waiting for, the announcement of the host country for GPF 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, the host country for GPF 2015 is the Central Bank of Mozambique. Congratulations to Mozambique. Now to do the handing over, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Hanig, Daniel Shidlowski, Minister Barath, and Governor of Central Bank of Mozambique, Governor Ernesto Gouveia Gove, the next host for GPF 2015. The hammer will now be presented to Governor Ernesto, and he will then strike the gong 3 times only. It's a custom, only 3 times. Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of a very successful 2014 AFI Global Policy Forum here in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. It is now officially closed. And now we look forward to GPF 2015 in Mozambique. Congratulations once again. Thank you, gentlemen.